The movie begins by depicting two teenage girls who have been best friends since childhood, Lil and Roz. They live in a small village near the beautiful Australian coast, where time seems to pass by so quickly. Years go by, and now they are adults. The film shows a funeral scene where Lil is mourning the loss of her husband. Now, Lil only lives with her son, Ian. Meanwhile, Roz also has a son named Tom, who has been friends with Ian for a long time. They often spend time together, surfing in the ocean or enjoying the breathtaking views around the village. As time goes on, Ian and Tom grow up. Lil and Roz admire their children, who have now become independent young men. The four of them remain close, like friends who are always together in everything. Even their homes are nearby, so they often spend time together. One afternoon, Harold, Roz's husband, comes home from work and tells Roz that he has been offered a teaching position at the University of Sydney. Harold invites Roz to move with him, but Roz is hesitant and unsure. She doesn't want to leave her beloved hometown. The next day, an old friend of Lil's, Saul, comes to visit her at the office. Saul often invites Lil to dinner, but she usually turns him down, saying she's too busy. Lil doesn't want to open her heart to anyone, even though she knows Saul has been hoping for a long time. Meanwhile, Harold continues trying to convince Roz to move to Sydney with him, but Roz decides to stay in the village for the sake of her work and her friendship. After a while, Harold goes to Sydney alone, taking Tom with him. Harold also tries to convince Tom that studying in Sydney would be better than staying in their village. One day, while Roz was swimming at the beach, she didn't expect to run into Ian, who was sunbathing there. Ian's eyes looked different when he saw Roz, probably because he was starting to hit puberty. Later that afternoon, as usual, they spent time together at Tom's house. When evening came, Ian asked if he could stay at Tom's house, and Lil allowed it. But that night, when Roz was about to sleep, Ian suddenly appeared and approached her. Roz tried to resist, but eventually, they fell into a deeper connection. In the middle of the night, Tom woke up to get a drink, but when he returned to his room, he was shocked to see his mom leaving the bedroom in a very surprising state. Tom couldn't believe what he had just seen. His mom with Ian. That night, Tom stayed silent and felt confused. He chose to be alone and eventually fell asleep on the beach. The next day, Tom visited Lil's house and told her about the pressure from his dad, who wanted Tom to study in Sydney. In his confusion, Tom suddenly approached Lil, but Lil firmly rejected him. Then, Tom told her about what had happened the night before between his mom and Ian, something that really shocked Lil. Lil was very shocked and confused. They both agreed to keep it a secret. A few days later, Lil planned to talk to Roz about what happened, but Lil couldn't bring herself to do it. She was afraid their friendship would be ruined. So in the end, Lil chose to remain silent. That night, Tom came to Lil's house again. He felt unable to face his mom, Roz, and asked for permission to stay at Lil's. Lil, of course, allowed him. That night, when everyone was asleep, Tom approached Lil's room and lay down beside her. Lil remained silent, not knowing what to do. Morning came, and Tom felt like he had an opportunity to do something he shouldn't have when Lil didn't stop him as he tried to get closer. After that, Tom went home and met his mom. Not long after that, Tom gathered the courage to tell Roz that he had just done something completely unexpected with Lil. Roz, upon hearing this, immediately became furious. Meanwhile, Tom went straight to his room, feeling confused and not knowing what to do. A little while later, Roz came to see Lil. They sat together and talked about the event that had gone too far. In the end, they agreed not to repeat the same mistake again. However, after that incident, the atmosphere between the four of them became awkward. Their days were no longer the same. One day, Ian, who couldn't hold back his feelings any longer, finally went to see Roz. At first, Roz rejected Ian's request, but when Ian got closer, Roz couldn't resist the temptation that came so suddenly. Unexpectedly, the same thing happened between Tom and Lil. They secretly met without anyone knowing and fell back into a relationship that shouldn't have happened. Lil and Roz finally met again, sharing the feelings they had. They admitted that the relationship with the young men felt different, hard to resist. Despite the conflict, they chose to make peace and enjoy what had already happened. A few weeks later, Harold came home, took a leave of absence to take Tom to university in Sydney, and once again tried to persuade Roz to move there. However, Harold had no idea what had actually happened between the four of them. Still, by the time Harold was set to leave for Sydney, Tom and Roz were reluctant to follow and chose to stay behind. Time passed and their relationship returned to normal. They now saw it as part of their lives, something that didn't need to be hidden. 2 years later, Ian was working at the same office as his mother, while Tom continued his film studies near home. One day, Ian came to see Tom and told him that Harold had offered a 1-month theater director job in Sydney. Tom actually really wanted to accept the offer, but he was worried about Lil's situation. Ian reassured Tom not to worry and to take the opportunity. With his best friend's encouragement, Tom decided to go to Sydney. A few days later, Tom arrived in Sydney. There, during a theater rehearsal, Tom met a beautiful girl named Mary. Tom was completely captivated and began to admire her. One day, Tom called Lil to tell her about his job and also talked about a girl from the theater named Mary. But Tom didn't mention that he was starting to feel attracted to the girl. On the other hand, Roz told Lil that it turned out Harold, Tom's dad, had separated from Roz and was now in a new relationship in Sydney. Time passed, and Tom's closeness with Mary grew stronger. One night, Tom was invited to Mary's place, and there they both did something for the first time. Meanwhile, Ian and Roz's relationship became stronger. Even so, Ian promised that he wouldn't turn away and would always be loyal even if Roz had to wait. However, Lil felt differently. Every day Lil grew more worried and anxious about her relationship with Tom. That feeling was somewhat relieved when Tom occasionally came to see Lil, but still, Lil didn't feel at peace. On Tom's birthday, Harold and Mary came to Roz's house to celebrate together. At the party, Ian and Lil were also there. However, Lil felt anxious when she saw how close Tom was with Mary. After the party, Tom approached Lil and promised that they would meet again soon and continue their relationship after dropping Mary off at the hotel. But that night, Tom didn't keep his promise. Instead, he chose to stay with Mary at the hotel until the morning. Lil felt disappointed and tired of the unclear relationship. Finally, Lil decided to let go of Tom and accept the reality of the situation. A few months later, Tom married Mary. Ian and his mom attended the wedding. At the event, Ian ran into his old friend, Hannah. As if to repay his mother's hurt feelings, Ian tried to get close to Hannah in front of Roz. After the event, Roz seemed troubled, feeling confused about what had happened. One day while surfing, Ian lost his balance and fell onto the rocks. Fortunately, Ian was found and taken to the hospital. When Lil arrived, she told him that Roz wanted to see him. However, Ian refused to meet Roz, still feeling unsure and hurt. Finally, Hannah came to visit Ian in the hospital. She helped with his recovery, and during that time, a closeness began to grow between them. Slowly, seeds of love started to bloom in their hearts. A few months later, Hannah gave the news that she was pregnant. Her smile was so wide, and she was overjoyed with the news. However, Ian looked a bit shocked and confused. From here, it was revealed that Ian didn't actually have feelings for Hannah. He had just used her as an outlet, while his true feelings were still directed at his mom's best friend, Roz. 4 years passed. Now, Tom and Ian both had daughters who were close to each other and best friends. They planned to go on a beach vacation with their families. Their relationships seemed harmonious. Everything was going as usual. But that night, Lil asked for permission to leave early and skip dinner with the family. After that, Tom, who had been drinking a lot, went out for some fresh air. But instead of going for air, Tom went straight to Lil's house. Without much talk, they immediately resumed what they used to have. It turned out that Ian found out about the incident. With emotions Ian couldn't hold back, he went to Roz and spoke to her in a harsh tone. Mary and Hannah, who overheard the conversation, were shocked and immediately asked what was going on. Ian honestly said that he had seen Tom doing something with Lil. Mary and Hannah were shocked to hear that confession. They couldn't believe their husbands had been cheating all this time. After hearing everything, Mary and Hannah decided to take their kids and leave the house. This situation made Tom and Ian feel extremely regretful. They cried, feeling the loss of their wives and children because of a mistake they couldn't fix. Their emotional and impulsive decisions caused them to lose everything. The next morning, Lil came and apologized to Roz, but it was too late. Everything had been exposed and there was no going back. The situation couldn't be changed. In the end, the four of them reflected on their past. They all lay together on a piece of driftwood, reflecting and introspecting. All the mistakes they made were vivid in their minds, and they realized how shattered the relationships they had once built were.